Welcome back to our weekly Fast Track Money live session. As usual, I am your host, Yasi, the creator behind Fast Track Podcast. We have a content platform called fasttrack.live. You can find all the information in the details in description below. Or you can also, and then as usual, we have our co-host is Matthias Richter. Matthias is the creator behind Financial Imagineer, and you have all known that he achieved financial independence when he was even before age 37. So he wants to share his wisdom with everybody here. And then we together created this Fast Track Money course where we packed everything he has learned and practiced in his life and whatever I have learned and practiced in my life. And we combined together to help you fast track your wealth building process. And today we have a special guest. So today is a session with a guest. So the guest is called Distill Mike. So can we call him Mike?
Yeah, for sure.
So Mike is one of our mutual Twitter friends where we find he has these special skills that he is going to talk more about it today, how he can reverse engineer everything and learn everything, and so that you can use the skills to create value in your life. But we are going to leave all the questions to the audience here. You can ask questions, ask how he achieved that, and then Matthias and I will also ask Mike how he distilled all his skills along the way. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me, Yasi and Matthias. And I think maybe we can just begin with how I come to know Matt. Is that we were on Twitter, we talking about skills and writing and on financial independence, and we met in a group, and so we really connected. I think something to do with us being in the financial background, and I think this connected us, and also we saw that for Imagineer, you want to pick out certain skills so that you can achieve financial independence. And for myself, I come from a legal background, and to be in the financial industry, I have to pick up a lot of different skills very quickly along the way. And I see that, the more skills that you acquire, the wider your life will become. And so we saw that our ideas are complementary. So Matthias, very nice of him to invite me to a series to write a blog post. So we started about language learning, and also now we are talking about writing. And these are the skills that we will explore in this podcast. But I will let Matthias to continue, and then we can explore more on this distilling of skills.
Okay, thank you so much, Mike. Yeah, well, I think when I saw Mike's content, I was really, really taken away, because what he used is kind of redesign the skill, like take the skill apart, whatever skill it is that may be out there, that maybe you believe it can help you to fast track or put yourself forward or make your dream come true or bring you closer to whatever goal you are actually aiming at. Mike has techniques behind that to take the skills apart into some skill parts that you can easily learn faster than others, and then kind of with a special technique fast track yourself forward to learn Mandarin Chinese, or to, like Mike, I think he's a passionate dancer. He's a specialist for nutrition and exercising. He's also a specialist about how to write better. Like whatever it is out there. So for Financial Imagineer, my blog, it was super interesting to kind of whatever it is that you want to achieve or do, there is a technique distilling the skills that you think are the missing puzzle parts for whatever dream you're after, right? And then I think it also fits perfectly to fast track life, fast track money, because managing money is also a skill, and there's other things that complement that. And I think people that usually take the time and the effort to work at their skills, they will fare better than the others. And that's why I believe today we invited Mike today to share a little bit what is behind that. So Mike, maybe if you allow me to ask the first question here.
Of course.
So how would you go about it? Let's just pick a skill like writing. Writing is a very good topic, right? So you want to learn how to become a better writer, for instance. So where would you start with taking a skill apart, and what kind of more like sub skills would you go after first, and how maybe you can give us a brief intro on that? That would be super interesting.
Sure, Matt. So I wouldn't take credit for this technique or skill to distill. Actually, I got it from reading about Tim Ferriss. So Tim Ferriss, he's so-called the lab rat for all the skills. So what he does, he likes to pick a skill and then he tries to play around and to see what he can do with it. So he came up with this method. It's called DSSS, and so what that means is deconstruct, and then selection, and sequencing, and then sticks. So deconstruct, like Matt has talked about just now, is always about breaking down a skill. So a skill, when looking to it in totality, is a very big topic. But then all these skills is made of little chunk of sub skills. So first you have to break it down. What makes up this skill? So let's say for writing, it's about how to achieve one of the four primary objectives. All writings mainly want to achieve four primary objectives, which is to inspire, to educate, to entertain, or to inform. So once you know you have these four primary objectives, so how do you go about achieving it? So you deconstruct. So people like to read sentences that are easily understood, that are not pretentious, that is straight to the point, and with some flair to it. So how do you do that? So how I started to learn how to write short sentences, because that is where I begin to tell a story in a very concise manner. So what makes up the short sentences? So we go more into it. So normally you have an active voice, you have a subject, and you have a verb. So when you have a subject and a verb, the sentence is always very strong. So I break it down. This is the things that I want to do, to tell very concise story in short sentences. So that's why I like tweeting, because in tweeting you always have to think about how to tell a big picture in a very short manner. So after that you have to select, because after you deconstruct the skills, you suddenly see that, wow, there are so many sub skills. Where do I begin? That is where you select. And how do you select is to use the Pareto law, the 80-20 rule that a lot of us might have known. If you don't know, is that 20% of your effort will contribute to 80% of the results. And you can see this pattern in everywhere. In terms of wealth, 20% of the people are having 80% of the wealth, or even more, like 1% and 99. So when it comes to writing, you just have to focus on the 20% that gives you the 80% of the results. So you also have to determine what is the end goal that you want. Do you want to be a master of it, or you want to be just very good at it? So if you are very good at it, maybe you are at 90 to 95% mastery, but the last 5% is reserved for those who dedicate their life to it. So do you want to be the 100% master, or 90% is good enough? And when you talk about fast track money, I think a lot of the times you cannot achieve 100% in all your skills. So you just want to focus on one skill, and maybe you become good at it and you go to the next. And also an important thing about distilling is that you have to focus one thing at a time. In this day we like to multitask, but it does not happen with learning. You have to focus one at a time. So back to writing as an example. Once you pick out, select, and then you have to sequence, where do I begin? Which block comes first? So for me, again, back to the example that I use, is very important. You always write a very active and a short sentence. So I call it the 1-2 punch. So let's say, you say a person did this. So that is very strong. But if you use like a very corporate, say, in this circumstance, the person was seen doing this. So that is a weak sentence. So when you have a very strong sentence and you weave them together, it becomes a very strong writing. So that is sequencing. And then you have stakes. What is the cost of you not doing it? What would you lose? So, Tim Ferriss suggested you make a bet with your friends, but for myself, I see that, the desire comes from within. The stake of not acquiring a skill is to live in mediocrity. And, you stagnate and you just remain the same, for your life. So I think for your audience and my audience, they have a desire to grow in terms of financially or in terms of intelligence. So the stake for them is that if they don't do it, they will regret it. And I think that is a strong enough drive for most of us here. So I hope that answer your first question.
And
Thank
how
you.
long, usually, how long do you give yourself to learn a new skill? Because we know that when it comes to master something, even 90%, let's say piano or drawing, it takes years, or language. How would you decide? Okay, this is within this time frame, I'm going to learn it, or you don't give yourself a time frame?
So yes, a good question. I think the time is very important. I think all of us here we are impatient, but we are very aggressive with our actions. But we also have to be patient with our results. But having said that, it's very important that we have a timeline. We need to have the sense of urgency, because when you put yourself in that time frame, you will focus on working towards that. It depends on the skill. So let's say another example that I take up is surfing. So I like to surf, and it's not that easy to get waves here in Malaysia. And we only have the monsoon like 8 to 12 from August to December, and maybe January if we're lucky. So when I pick up surfing the first time, when I try it the first time, I thought, oh, this is something I want to do and want to be good at. And the problem is I live 4 hours away from the beach, and I have a day job at the time. So every Friday, I had to leave the office earlier, and then I drive, and then I could surf the whole Saturday and Sunday. And so the timeline for me was fixed, and it was just 3 to 4 months that I had to do. And I managed to break it down, and I really had to use this method to learn how to surf. So if you don't have that time frame for yourself, fixed for yourself, but you have to schedule a time. Okay, you have to have clear milestone. By this time, what is success to you? And so let's say for writing, it's different. For me, it's a lifelong thing because I want to be 100% at that. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. And you mentioned for writing, you want to be 100% in that. Is there any, like, I just want to ask, what is the motivation because you want to change career, or is this something your hobby, or what's your aspiration?
Okay, so maybe Matt can chime in later, but I think that in life, there are some key skills that once you master it, will open many different doors in your life and the people that you meet. And for me, writing is one of the key skills to master, because I spent some time in the lobbying industry, and I know how storytelling and narrative can change things at the macro level. Is how you sell a story. And I think if you can use writing to move someone, you can influence decisions in a way that could help a cause or favor your agenda. And also, this is just out of my own passion for writing. And that is it. So maybe we can talk more about the key skills in life. I am sure a lot of the skills in Fast Track Money is very essential for people to live a fulfilled life.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think what you said is very important. Like it's a skill that you have a lot of leverage once you master it. And maybe there's so many people that write, so you have to get closer to 100% to stand out, right? And on the other side, like you mentioned before, the 80-20 rule, that's like when you learn a language, maybe you learn it to 80%. It's good enough. You don't have to be the perfectionist on something before you go out and try, right? And then you learn on the go. Also, other things like if you start to have your social media account or other things, if you just procrastinate and never take action at all, then you're losing out. It's learn by doing as well. But the skill is something for me, I think, to go back to languages or cooking or something, that there has to be a certain ground level. And once you master that, the sky is the limit. You can take it up from there, right?
So just to add on to that, right? So one of the key skill that I think is very essential is cooking, and
Okay.
because in life, whatever you want to do, if you can cook well, you can have yourself a nutritious meal, and then when you take care of your body, you have the energy and the longevity to do the things that you want. And actually cooking, when you deconstruct it and to select and sequence it, is very simple. You use natural ingredient, and just sauteing the onion and garlic can go a long way. You can cook
Mm.
delicious meal with just a few ingredients. So I think that's something important for everyone to pick up.
And not only you take care of your own body, but also when you cook well, you will make way more friends because they also come to your place and eat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you see, that is something you can leverage. When I can cook, I can just invite people to my house, and then we can have a networking. And through food, everybody connects. At
Yeah.
least in
Absolutely.
this part of the world.
And also in our course, one of the module is called net worth equal
Hmm.
network, or network equal net worth. So I think it's a interesting tool using cooking to expand your networks, and in the end,
Yeah,
actually, it can help you to build your net worth.
exactly. And also,
Mm.
when you can cook, right, it signals a lot of things. So it signals that you have a system, that you care about what people want and how you can deliver it.
Mm.
Because not everybody can cook. You have to have the desire and to put in the effort to build the system. So immediately you will have the connection with somebody. When you say, oh, I can cook, it's always a compliment that,
Yes.
wow, you can cook.
Yeah, I can
Yep.
eat
I can eat. Well,
next
I
time
think
in Malaysia.
Definitely.
I used to have a boss at work a long time ago, and I
Hmm.
think one thing he always challenged us. I really love it, and I still think about this very often. It's like, when was the last time you did something for the first time? Like, challenge yourself to do something new every once in a while. It keeps you mentally agile, like fit
Hmm.
in a way. Like, it keeps your brain, your body, whatever it is you try, right? And
Yep.
in Singapore, I started to brew beer. Out of that, I also felt,
Wow.
well, beer is expensive there. They have a high alcohol tax. Why not brew your own beer? And guess what? That brought even more friends than cooking.
Mm.
But brewing beer is also something you have to think about. Oh, yeah, like you say, take it apart, really distilling it. It's like the
Hmm.
alcohol, right? You figure out what is what kind of beer people like. So there was this fruity beer, the tropical IPA, some kind of fresh wheat beer, and then you
Hmm.
kind of, at the end, I figured out how to make a mix, like a hybrid between Hogarden and Kronenbourg
Wow.
1664 with orange peel and coriander seeds, something like that.
Wow.
Very, very
Oh my.
interesting.
I have to
But
try.
yeah, now I oversold, right? I have to start brewing again. That's maybe one thing. But this was something really, I did it for like 2-3 months, and then I think I figured it
Mhm.
out. So you have to have this initial push. You have to decide, I
Mhm.
want to really do that, and then you have to learn, right? Learn by doing. You go about it. You push yourself after, and I think that's also interesting with languages. I learned Mandarin Chinese, so we wrote a
Mhm.
blog post about how to learn Chinese.
Yep.
And some people sometimes ask me, was it difficult to learn Chinese? And I say, well, it depends. If you want to learn just a little bit of Mandarin Chinese,
Mhm.
I think it's very difficult. But if you want to learn it well, there is like a hump somewhere. So it's like you
Yep.
start, and then once you're above this hump, you cross a certain thing, and then it gets easy. I think that's the thing. Like, there's some resistance if you want to build a skill, that you have to
Mhm.
push yourself through it or over it, and then if you do that more often, very interesting. I think it becomes part of your habit to do something new every once in a while, and to challenge yourself, to explore and to grow. Right?
So sorry to interrupt you,
No
Matt.
problem. I'm done.
So back to the brewing of beer, right? I want to know, what is this hum that you have overcome, that like in every skill, there's this moment when you figure this one thing out, everything becomes easier, and you
Yes.
know how to do that. And
Yes.
what is that in the beer brewing
Beer
that you
brewing.
you found?
Well, on one side, for me, it's very easy to go to a bar, but then every time you have in Singapore, you have to pay like 15 Singapore dollars for a pint, right? It hurts. It bloody hurts. And then if you do it at home, the thing was the first time I did it, I needed a friend over. It took us like 3 hours to do the initial steps. It was not like, of course, we had like 2-3 beers while preparing the beers, and but it was not something I felt like I want to do that too often. And at the end, I think after 2-3 times, I managed to bring down the time necessary to get that steps done to below 1 hour. And I did it in an enjoyable manner. So it becomes part of your skill accessory. It's like riding a bicycle or driving a car. It's like riding a bicycle, once you learn it, you will not forget about how to do it again, right? So it's maybe not one-to-one the same thing, but that hump, like once you know and figured it out, you can replicate, you can do again and again and again. And probably it's not so much of a mental effort anymore to do it and get started.
Yeah.
What would be the skills that you have learned in the last years that you find is very interesting to share with us?
Myself?
Yeah.
Oh, so back to Matt, when you said that, what is the last thing that you do for the first time? So I think this was before COVID. I had to take a holiday. My company required me to take a mandatory holiday, and I did not want to travel. So I thought, okay, this is the 2 weeks that I will try something new that I've always wanted to try, but never had the time or courage. So it was Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And, I've never been in any martial art fighting or anything. So I tried it for the first time. And on my first day, of course, I got the usual tradition, which is to get my bum kicked by a kid, and then a woman, and everybody just line up to beat me up. And after a long time, I think after 2-3 months, I start to get the hang of it. Then I realized this is a skill that is very useful to me. Not that I would want to participate in a fight, but going out there, knowing that if anything happens, I would have the basic skill to protect myself and also the people that I love. And I think that is something that I would want to pass down to my kids. And I would also encourage people, anyone to try it out, because I see people from any walk of life. You have people, 70 years old trying for their first class, and they continue, and they're very good at it. So I think this is something that's very useful. So this is more on the sports side. But on, let's say more relevant to business or fast track money, I think one skill that was very useful to me is not that interesting, but is to build a very good presentation slides. So for me, I am a writer, and most of the time I spend on Microsoft Words, and also so my presentation slides are not so fancy and not so logical. But then I thought, okay, this is something I want to be good at, because whenever the company wants something to be sold, or have a storytelling, they always want a deck. So I thought I would invest time and effort to learn that. And once I build that, I find that in any area of my life I can use it. So in my side projects, if I want to discuss a project with somebody, I put up a slide quickly, less than 30 minutes. And whenever I put out a good slide, it gives a good impression, and it always dictates the flow of the meeting, and it helps me to achieve the outcome that I want. And I think, any entrepreneur, or, even if you are working for a job, it is a great skill to have.
Absolutely. And I like what you just said. It's like the one skill, if you level up that skill, it helps you with the other skills. So it's what I like to call compounding of skills. Like when you get better with one thing, or in general, if you get better and faster at learning or building skills, the world is your oyster. You can do anything you want in the end, right? Of course, it takes time, and you have to be strategic about which direction you go. But there is anything out there you can learn in a way or another, right?
Yep. And while we are on this, want to distinguish learning and skills acquisition are two different things. You know, we always learn. Everybody learns. I mean, if you have the ego drop, or you know, you have an open mind, you are learning. And but when you learn something, you are just acquiring a new knowledge. You don't have a skill yet. But when you apply that learning to something, let's say if after today, our listeners decide to, okay, I want to focus on writing and use whatever that was said in this session to acquire the skill of writing, then this person has, you know, widened his world a little bit. So skills acquisition and imagineering life, I think this is where it comes into play, is that when you acquire a skill, you open your world a little bit bigger. So back to what we say, you know, when you build a skill and you compound on it, so writing is one, because writing, you can use it everywhere to communicate, is almost like your identity in the online world. And I think language learning, so once you learn a language, you unlock another part of the world. And cooking and, you know, keeping a healthy body, I think those are the compounding skills that we can have.
Good. Yeah. So, and I think very interesting. Is there any skills our audience would be interested to ask Mike about? If you have any questions, please write on YouTube or write on Facebook. We are happy to hear what kind of skills you have been struggling to distill or to learn and acquire, or if you have any questions for skill building or how to fast track the skill building process, please do right now. We can cover these questions now in that part of the session.
So also out of curiosity, let's say, you know, of course, Matt, we know this deconstructing and everything, but let's say for Yasi, if you were to learn a skill, what is the usual process? Do you have a system in place?
I never thought about a system, because usually when I want to learn a skill, I read a lot of books and I collect information from the internet, and then watch YouTube videos or read blogs or attend online courses. If it's very technical, then I try it out myself. That's usually something related to knowledge and a soft skill set. That's the way how I usually do it.
So let's say your current system, you know, is how I used to do also, and I believe a lot of people do that, and I think a lot of listeners can also benefit from this. Whenever we want to learn a topic, let's say investing, you know, you dive deep into reading books, reading blogs, and YouTube videos, but then if you don't have a system to connect all of them, very soon you will forget all of them. So I don't know if it's relevant for today's topic, but I always have a knowledge library. Like let's say when I want to learn a skill, I will have the four columns, like deconstructing, selecting. So whenever I read a blog post or a book, I take the snippet, I put in the relevant category, and then I would do a review myself. Okay, so this is what I have deconstructed, and this is what I want to select to learn, and this is how I will sequence it. So when I have that system, it helps me to put the knowledge in one place. And when I revisit it from time to time, I think it helps to, you know, to learn the skill faster. So like for investing, up until 5 years ago, I have no idea what it is. I thought it's only for the ultra wealthy. So I started doing that, and turned out, you know, that changed my life, because like what I have invested 5 years ago managed to pay my down payment of the house that I have. So I think, you know, anyone can pick up the knowledge from you guys and to use this method to change their life.
Yeah, actually, when you talk about the investing, so there were 2 points I want to address. First is talking about acquiring a new skill. I like your method. It's more systematic and actually it's more productive. Because comparing to your method, I tend to just read many books and collect a lot of information because I consume things very fast. So I was kind of like going very broad. And then after that, then I distill whatever I know. Then I know the knowledge already myself. Then I take execution. But I never, like you, take notes and make a library. So sometimes I have to go back to the book and refer back. And what kind of software do you use to keep all the information in order?
Oh, this is what I'm very passionate in. So I would always recommend the best software is the one that you find yourself using it the most. So for me, I'm on the iOS platform. So I use this app called Bear or Obsidian. So Obsidian is open to all platforms, but anyone can start with this Google Keep to be easy. Let's say Google Keep. So keep all your notes and don't feel burdened to write a long notes. Sometimes my note is one sentence or two sentences, and then I just have that. The most important is the tagging, how you tag them, because that is how you find them. If you have a lot of notes but you cannot find them, then you don't have any notes. It's just a sea of words. So
sea of words.
yes.
Yeah.
So I would recommend anyone to go to search this method called the PARA method by Tiago Forte. So it's PARA. I can share with you guys later. So it's about projects, resources, areas, and archives. So this is project is something that you can, let's say now my project is to learn writing. What is in the, I will put everything in project. But once I'm done with it, I move it to resources because those are things that I can retrieve it later. And then you have areas, which are the things that you maintain in your life. Like for myself, Twitter, it goes under areas. It's something that I always go to so I can find what my responsibilities are there. Or, investing. My investing knowledge is in areas because it's something I do for the rest of my life. So write notes, use any system, make it easy to find, and you will appreciate it because in a lot of times, let's say like today's session, Matt told me about 2 weeks ago. What I had to do, I just go to my notes and I look through my resources on learning. I took it all out, and then we can have this discussion, and it's very useful. It's like you have a second brain or like your own personal computer in your mind.
Wow, amazing. Later I will put in the comment section the method you mentioned and the tools. I think it's very interesting. I'm going to try it.
Yep.
In the meantime, we do have a question by the Rainmaker. I see here. So the Rainmaker says he would like to learn how to cook a turkey. Did you ever cook a turkey, Mike?
I have used an oven to cook a turkey before. So again, I go back to my basics. Once you know the basic of cooking, like for me, I know onion and garlic will always make things very tasty. So I have garlic and onion ready. So and then I thought about what are the spices that I want to go with. So if you let's say if you want it to be more Italian, so you will have oregano, rosemary, and all that. But then if you want to have a more Mediterranean, so you will have paprika and turmeric. So those are the things that once you have identified, and you can cook a turkey quite easily. And then for me, I never cook before that. I never cook a turkey, and turkey is very similar to chicken. So how I prepare a chicken, I will apply the same. So, once you have the basics, always focus on the fundamental.
Yes. Yeah, turkey is just an XXXL jumbo chicken, right?
Actually, for Asian, that is just it.
It's not that much more complicated. Once you know the little one, you can do the big one in a way. Just know the differences, right?
And always have something acidic like lemon or vinegar that will soften the meat. And yeah.
Maybe for the Rainmaker, start with a chicken and then gradually work yourself up to the turkey, right?
You have 3 months.
3 months.
Put a timeline, and then while you are learning
Christmas.
While you are learning it, use the method that Distill Mike talked about today.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, well, thank you so much for explaining this. This is really, really nice. So, okay, assume I'm in the audience now. I see this show. I would like to learn more about your platform. Where can people find you? What is your mission with your online presence? Maybe you can talk a little bit about what you're doing here.
Okay, so thanks, Matt and Yassi. I enjoyed the chat. So my mission online actually started with my passion to write and to share what I've learned. So on my Twitter, you can follow me, or also you can check out my blog, distillinstitute.com. And also, to apply the same knowledge that I've learned, I've picked up a skill in web design. So I have my own freelancing business. It's called flowcreates.com. And I have some good projects going on because I've implemented what I have learned. So I also encourage everyone to look out for the posts that Matt and I will be writing on writing.
Yeah, so with Mike, we have a series of posts, and one new post is coming out soon. It will be about writing, yes, and we have already existing posts about language learning and one about nutrition, how to cook and prepare good meals for yourself. And I'm sure we will have more ideas going forward in this direction.
All right.
Yes.
All right, if we don't see any other questions from the audience, if you are watching this replay, make sure also leave your comments in the comment section below. We will read your comments, we will reply it. And if you like today's session, want to learn more about how to fast track, your learning process, follow Distill Mike on Twitter, follow Financial Imagineer, follow myself, and then you will see all the links in the description below. I hope you enjoyed today's session, and then come back with us next week. We're going to have an AMA session. So because till now we haven't talked anything about ourselves, like Matthias and me, what is our journey, what is our investing journey, why we do what we do. I think it will be an interesting session to have you together with us, asking all the questions that you might be interested, get to know each other. And yeah, it's nice to have you guys here today.
Thank you so much. Yes, thanks.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.